Okay, I want to do a quick little update. I had worked on the fabric yarn that I call it on this loom. I took it off just like I did in other videos where I do the chains, the crochet chains. I did one in between because it was a thick enough yarn. So this is what it looks like once it was off the loom. And I don't know exactly how long it is. I'd have to measure it. But this is how long it is. And I alternated putting a little bit of a lighter blue in there and some gray. And now I'm going to turn it into a bag. It's really thick. Like I could almost do this again. And I was almost thinking about making like a rug for myself. Because it is such a thick fabric that I thought this would be a good thickness to make a rug with for me to stand doing my dishes or something with, since it is fabric. But I wanted to turn this into a really heavy, thick kind of bag first. So when I want to close this off, what I'm going to do is you're going to make sure you turn it inside out, because obviously you're going to want to hide where I was changing colors and stuff, as you can see. So you'd match it up. You try to match the pattern that you did on each side, and then I'm going to seam it there, and then turn it inside out so that it will actually be the bag. And to do that, I'm just going to reuse the blue that I had left over and use my crochet hook, and I'm going to start combining this together, pretty much like I think they call it like a master stitch. I don't know what they exactly call it. It's just whatever I decide to do it with. So all I would do is I would take, and you can do this for any other kind of bags too. If you don't want to do a circle bag like I've done, or a square bag like I've done, you can do a flat panel bag and then close it off afterwards if you decide you want to do something like that. So what I would do is I'd use my crochet hook. I've got a size N. I don't know if I have a bigger one than this or not, but it's going to be a little tricky because this is very thick. As I'm holding these two together, I don't know if you can see, that is a pretty thick thing that I have to work through. I may not be able to show it all in the video, but that's what the next step is for me, is I'm closing off this side, and then I'm determining which side I want to be the top or the bottom. I'm believing I'm going to go like this, so the lighter blue that's in here a little bit, and this dark blue will be the edge of the top opening, and then I'll end with that. So that's what I'm going to do right now, is I'm going to stitch this close, whatever you want to call it, by, excuse me, trying to make sure that I match up, because as you can see, I've got designs in there. So I want to make sure like the two grays are matched up as much as possible, so that it'll look the same when I rotate it out. So what I would do, I lost my little tubey thing. So my daughter's going to get that for me. Oh, thank you, Alexis. She likes to help me with this too, because she was helping me unwind the stuff.
Yeah, me too.
So all I'm going to do is use my crochet hook, and I'm going to work. Okay, shh. Sorry. So all I'm doing is I'm working through part of it, and I want to make sure it's as matched up as I can. And then I take some of the yarn that I have, or the fabric I have, and pull it through. So that's going to be the start of it. And keep an eye on if you have. I mean, if you're doing all the same color, all the same stitch, you're not going to have an issue as much of matching up. But because I have different colors and different stitches, I really want to do my best to match them up as best as possible, so that it will line up pretty good. So I've got this, and what I'm going to do on this end that I first put in is I'm going to tie it. I'm going to tie this closed so that it won't come through. And I usually like to give things a couple ties, just because I like it to be as secure as possible. So there's my beginning. I will trim this later, but that's where I'm going to start it, and then I'm going to line it up as I go, and I'm going to stitch the rest of it shut. So all I'm going to do, now what's going to be tricky is I actually have to go through and unwind a bunch of this, and it's going to take me a while to figure out how much do I need to stitch that side up. So I'm going to have to be doing 2 stitches, because I'm going to be stitching this up. Now if I had started up here, which I should have did, if I started stitching it here, I would be able to go down and around and close this off. But because I accidentally started here, I'm basically just going to work myself this way, and then turn it, and do it on this side. So that's what I'm going to do right now, and so I'm going to cut, if I can find my scissors. Hopefully I cut enough that I can work the one side, and hopefully I have enough of this left to do the other. I would have made it wider, but I didn't know if I'd have enough. But what you can also do is you can take the 2 strands, the one that I want to hide anyway, hold them together. Again, keeping an eye on matching things up as best as you can by looking at it where it should lie. That's what I'm kind of doing, to see where the stitches need to lie a little bit. So I want them to lie. I mean, if I had safety pins or stitch markers next to me, I would stitch it closed, but I don't have any of those next to me. So then I'm going to find a next little spot that I want to put this in, and then grab all those and do my best, which is going to be tricky because this is thick stuff, to pull that through, and then to pull the rest of this all the way through. to find which one's going to pull through. Okay. This will take a while because I got a lot there. So I'm pulling this all the way through. Okay, it's bunching a little bit, so you want to keep an eye on that. We're basically going to keep pulling. Eventually you find the end, because you want to make sure you have enough yarn to work with. So there's one stitch through there. Again, keeping as much of an eye on lining things up as you can. If you had safety pins, you could probably put them in there. That would really be a good idea. I just don't have any next to me right now. And since this bag is pretty much for me, I'm not too worried about how perfect it is because I'm keeping it myself. Okay, and then I'm pulling this through. Again, we're going to do the same thing. You're going to pull the strands through. No, I'm not done yet, darling. Maybe I'm good. My daughter's talking to me. Okay, so I'm pulling this all the way through. Somewhere here is the end. Alright. So there's another one. Like I said, I'm keeping an eye as I go just to get it as lined up as I can. And here we go again. I'm just flipping that back on the other side. Using my crochet hook to go through through a couple loops and bring it back through. Well, like I said, I might not need this much, but I'd rather have too much on there to work with than not enough. Because the last thing I want to do is get down to the wire and be like, oh man, I don't have enough to stitch it closed, but I didn't cut it off. So that's all I'm doing, and then that's all I'm going to do all the way down to the end, and then I'll tie it off when it gets to the end, and this side will be closed. And then I'll turn, and I'll do the same idea to close off this to be the bottom. I'll be turning it inside out, and I will show you that part when I'm all done. I finished sewing the ends together. I mean, I did make a little mistake here because you can kind of see the blue. But it's also something that may not be that noticeable once you're wearing it as a purse. Or if I want to, I can go through and maybe hide it with some more of the blue because I have some left. So I stitched the side, and I stitched the bottom. So this is a very thick bag. And I still just have to make the handle, but this is what it looks like. Go back a little bit so you can see it. I really like the little edge of the gray because of the way I did it. Because sometimes when you switch colors, if you do like purling right after and knitting right after, you'll get that kind of a little bit of a line, which I like. And like I said, it's very, very thick bag. And I was even going like this to check my stitch out. I was kind of pushing through to see if it was tight enough. And now all I have to do is make the handle, which I'm going to do, I think, a black handle. Because I don't have a lot of the blue left, so I thought black would be an okay accent color. So I'm going to do a black handle. I haven't figured out exactly how I want to do that yet. I'm going to have two little handles on each side, which is what I'm kind of leaning towards. To do two on each side and go from there. So it'll be a two-handle one, but it's very thick. I mean, to give you an idea, I mean, this is the opening. And it's a very thick bag, but it does have a pretty good gap for putting stuff in. I mean, I believe it'd be worth to have stuff here I'd show you, but like, I mean, I have, well, it's a good little tote bag. And I got one of my V.C. Andrew books I like. And you can throw a book in there and probably a couple other small things. And if you're going to like the beach or something, or if you go in the grocery store to pick up a couple small things, they might fit in here. So all I have to do is work on the handle, and I'll be done. I'm working on the handle that I want to make for the bag. I'm doing it as a finger knit. So you can see I've worked it up a little ways. It's a very simple process, and it's actually working out pretty well with the fabric. I left myself as much of a tail as I could, probably about a little over a foot, so that I can use this if I need to with working it into the bag. And all I did was I did my slip knot like I had showed you in the other video, and then all I've been doing is going back and forth so that I can take the bottom one over the top. Now with it being fabric, it does want to slide off my finger a little bit, so what I've been doing is pushing it down a little further than probably I would normally do my finger knitting, so that when I wrap it, I said it's just a figure eight, and pull it up, it kind of helps with the fact that the fabric wants to slide. But this is all I'm going to do. Now I'm trying to figure out how long I want to make this. So that's the other thing when you're working with this, trying to figure out how long do I need the handle to be. So I mean, when I'm looking at this bag, I have two choices. And this is how much of the blue I have left to make the bag, a handle if I want to. I decided not to probably do it in black and to use up the blue, so like I say, the black that I have for a different project. So I'm going to kind of work this up as long as I think I'm going to need. And I think I might either have two handles, one on one side and one on the other, or I'm going to have one that starts here and goes to here. I haven't figured that out yet. So my goal is to make a really long, simple cord like this, and I was checking it to see, you know, proportion-wise, I think it will work for the size of it. So that's all I'm going to do, and I'll let you know when I'm done. It is done. I attached the handle, and because the handle was a little too long, what I actually did on the outside of one side is I kind of looped it for a little design on the outside of this one side, and hit it back in. But this is what it looks like, and it opens up pretty good. I'm contemplating putting a button thing there to be able to keep it closed, but I don't think it's too bad. As you can see, you know, the stitch work a little bit. I don't remember exactly how many inches. I'll have to measure it, but I just wanted to show the finished product. And this took me, I mean, I'm a single mom, stay-at-home mom right now, so I will have the time to work on it. So here it is.